volume from the running back position will win you a fantasy championship. So picking the correct running back is what's going to help you win. And I'm here to make sure you do the right running back and you draft the right guy from the Philadelphia Eagles because you want somebody from this prolific offense. But the question is who? Because last season we had Miles Sanders, and he was a top 15 running back. He had 11 rushing touchdowns, and you knew who was the leader in the backfield. But this year we've gone out, and we've gotten DeAndre Swift in a trade, and we got Rashad Penny for nothing, almost pennies on the dollar. And we have two different style running backs now, and that's the problem because DeAndre Swift, his talent profile reads more like a pass catcher, where Rashad Penny is extremely efficient in his touches. The issue is they both get injured, and both not lived up to the standards that we have noticed from when they were drafted. Here's the thing. We got to figure it out, though, because you make the wrong decision here and you are screwing your team up because DeAndre Swift is going 3-4 rounds before Rashad Penny. And because of that, I like Rashad Penny. And I'm going to explain why. It reminds me a lot of the New England Patriots, where I want to take the ADP game and I want to look at it. I want to take the lowest ranked running back. Even though the other one has a lot of talent, this is no shot at DeAndre Swift. This is just a shot at how the offense works. First things first, we do RPO. We are an RPO type team. I don't care if we have a new offensive coordinator or not. We're not going to stray from the offense that got us to the Super Bowl. So, an RPO, what does that mean? It means terrible, terrible things for pass catching running backs because you don't fake the handoff and then turn around and look to throw it to them. That'll take too long to develop. So we're talking strictly NFL here, not fantasy, strictly NFL, but that leads into fantasy. What you do is you fake the handoff, you pull it back, and you hit your first or second target, and that's where you go with it. And that's why we have a trio, a big three in A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. It's why you don't hear the names of Quez Watkins or anybody else underneath because they're just depth pieces. They're there for here and there, but for the most part, we go by our big three. So this takes a shot at DeAndre Swift's pass catching game, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Now, I'm going to explain some stats here, and I'm going to explain 20-plus yard runs from both running backs. And if you can have an explosive running back on your fantasy team, obviously fantastic, because you are just getting fantasy points by the bundle. DeAndre Swift, he had 10 of them in 99 attempts over 14 games. Sounds decent, right? Sounds good. Well, let's look at Rashad Penny. He had 9 of them, one less, in 57 rushing attempts over 5 games, which means efficiency. Again, he's just taking that ball and he's clipping out yards after yards, big yards after yards. So he's not giving you like small little clunks, 2-3 yards in a cloud of dust. He's going out there, Rashad Penny, and he is busting down the door and getting to that second level. And a player like that makes an RPO so damn dangerous, especially when you got a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, who he himself is going to steal carries inside the 20 because he had 40 rushing attempts inside the 20 last season, 40-plus rushing attempts inside the 20. So he's the main running back. And then you have Rashad Penny. And when you're looking at the goal line, Rashad Penny just fits that mode. Like I said, yards per attempt. Swift, 5.5 yards per attempt. Very good. 5.5 yards rushing per attempt is damn good. Except Rashad Penny, 6.1. And this is what he's built for. He's not a pass catcher. I think he might have 10 catches over his entire NFL career. The thing is, he just knocks you over and gets to that second level. His only issue has been staying healthy. But if you can get him in like the 10th round, I'd rather take that shot on that running back at that point in time. Now, let's talk about receptions because yeah, everybody loves in PPR the running back with receptions on a good offense. I told you why that's not going to work as well with the Philadelphia Eagles, but Swift does win that 48 receptions to 4 last season. But like I said, RPO kind of hinders that a lot for Swift, and it's a negative for him right now. It adds to the NFL team of the Eagles, but will it add to your fantasy team? Not at the clip you need it to add to it. And here's the thing. They're both going to be in the game a decent amount. They get around the same amount of snaps. Now, Swift gets 34, Penny gets 23. There was injuries. We skip over that. But fantasy points per game. Swift brought you 10.2 last season. Rashad Penny, 9.6. And again, 9.6 in only 5 games, where DeAndre Swift was 14 games. So, yes, You could say Swift's a little more consistent, but you saw what happened when there was another big banger back there with Jamal Williams, who isn't even that good of a running back. They just gave him the ball. They said, we need these yards. We need positive gains every time. DeAndre Swift sometimes gets back there and his vision gets clouded. I don't know what happens. Maybe he gets the John Cena hand in front of him where he can't see them, they can't see him, but something is off there when he runs. And here's the thing. I'm going to break down some stats. We went over the yards per attempt. We're going to go over forced missed tackles now. Swift has 24. Again, 14 games. Penny has 13. Again, 5 games. It's not like Swift is outranking him by crazy numbers. They are a lot closer than they need to be. Now, we keep going through these stats. Yards after contact per attempt, 4.23 for Rashad Penny. Yards after contact per attempt, 3.1 for DeAndre Swift. That's a killer. Yards after contact. Basically, Swift gets hit and he goes down. You know who they're not going to use at the goal line? The guy who gets hit and he goes down faster than the other man. Rashad Penny will be in for those touchdowns. And in fantasy, you can have all the catches in the world. And this is almost like Gibbs and Montgomery all over again, the team that Swift just came from. But let's just say DeAndre Swift has 3 catches for 30 yards on a drive. You got a decent amount of fantasy points there. You got 6 fantasy points. And then Rashad Penny has 1 rush, 10 yards, and a touchdown. Who would you rather have if a touchdown is 6 points? 6 points, 10 rushing yards, that's another point. So you get 1 more point on that drive off one play instead of having to do it for 3, 4, 5, 6. You get where I'm going with this? So we just have to understand that at their prices, that's what makes it so hard to go DeAndre Swift. Because explosive 10-plus yard runs, DeAndre Swift only has him beat by 3, so the explosive factor, in my opinion, is with Penny. The ability to bowl over a defender, that's with Penny. The efficiency mark, that's with Penny. The only thing DeAndre Swift has is the ability to be a pass catcher in a system that doesn't really use it. And the only thing I think that could keep Penny off the field, but I don't think will matter as much down by the goal line, obviously, is that the better pass blocker last season was DeAndre Swift. Now, I don't know, 5 games, that's kind of hard to figure it out, but Swift had a 73.9 PFF while Penny had a 43.9 PFF. I'd rather have Swift in there on the third downs, but we already knew Swift was going to be there on the third downs, unless it's like 3rd and 1, and we want to have that option of Hurts or Penny and pulling that ball out of the pocket on an RPO. But this is very simple for me. Most drafts in fantasy football are now leaning towards wide receiver heavy. So when you're looking for running backs, you're looking for volume-based running backs. So people like James Conner and stuff are great. But when you're looking in this scenario, do you really see the volume being 15 touches for DeAndre Swift and maybe 10 for Rashad Penny, who, by the way, was running with the first team today in practice? I don't see that. I see it flipping. I see DeAndre Swift maybe getting 4 or 5 carries, maybe getting 3, 4 targets a game, and being electric when he gets the opportunity. But that's what you got to do to keep him healthy, because he has not been able to keep healthy, Swift, is that you need to give him the ability to be electric in the moment, but not electric over and over again on a redundant basis. Rashad Penny, who is also injury prone, needs that ability to run people over in the situations where you run people over, but you also have to keep him on a pitch clock. So they go hand in hand perfectly for the NFL. But for fantasy football, touchdowns matter more than anything else in the world. And we just watched Miles Sanders score a bunch of touchdowns last season, and I see the same thing happening for Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny fits more to what Miles Sanders was, and we didn't really use Miles Sanders as the pass catcher. We really won't use Rashad Penny as the pass catcher. Gainwell and Swift will be those pass catchers, but they're not going to be popular because Jalen Hurts checks the ball down to the running back at the lowest rate, tied with Trevor Lawrence. So for me, you take the ADP game, you take the efficiency, you take the explosive nature, and you get Rashad Penny on your fantasy team that you've loaded up. Now, you started with a loaded up wide receiver core, and you have a bunch of running backs who have the ability to take over on a good offense with volume, and that's exactly what Rashad Penny is. Let me know how you feel about this. Let me know which running back you rather have. I'm going to be doing positional battles as we keep going through this summer because football is around the corner. And I'm going to end this video, since it is my Eagles, with a fly, Eagles, fly.